problems. That guy, he just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But he
that
down.
dude hits hard.
Robert, oh, sorry, when you've done
yeah, so that one's with the eye, Robert. Okay.
Yeah.
Center. Answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First. Jack Paul, it's, sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls Royce, Fiat.
With his signature mix of skepticism and blunt insight, Rogan has fans buzzing, dissecting what this unlikely training alliance could mean, not just for Jake Paul, but for the entire boxing world. With his signature mix of skepticism and blunt insight, Rogan has fans buzzing, dissecting what this unlikely training alliance could mean, not just for Jake Paul, but for the entire boxing world.
A chance that Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove.
Instead of sticking with his usual UK team under Ben Davidson, Joshua revealed at a recent press conference that he's training alongside members of Usyk's camp ahead of the December 19th showdown in Miami. He called the collaboration phenomenal and challenging, praising the skill and success of Usyk's squad, though he clarified that the Ukrainian champ himself isn't sparring with him daily.
The belief in yourself, not in somebody else's system. You know what I mean? It's like Usyk's team might show him bits and bats of stuff. He doesn't box like Usyk. Can they train AJ to be similar to what Usyk's doing? AJ, you've got to pick out the best of what AJ does, and you've got to pick out the worst and improve the worst in him. And I'll say it time and time again. For me, the best trainer he ever had was Robert McCracken. It might not be what people want to hear, but he had him from the stages in the amateurs, from being a young mind, brought him through, guided. He had a good view of what the competition was out there, where to put him, you know, where to manoeuvre him, when to take fights, when not to take fights. And he'd invested a lot of time in him, Robert McCracken. So it was a payoff. Now when you go to, you know, if AJ came here or he goes to Ben Davidson, or you're going to be in for a big payday as a trainer. It's a lot of responsibility to take on. You know, Ben Davis is a good trainer. He's trained AJ for so many fights, brought him back. He'll have got paid handsomely. Everybody wants to train AJ because it's a good payday. So, but sometimes you have to think to yourself, are you capable of training that fighter? You know, people have come to me wanting me to train. I said, to be honest, we are not going to match.
Training alongside seasoned members of Usyk's camp, Anthony Joshua is sharpening every aspect of his game. Observers note his relentless focus, footwork, timing, combinations, all meticulously honed in a camp designed to push him to the next level. Sparring partners simulate real fight scenarios, keeping Joshua alert, adaptable, and battle-ready. As fight night approaches, every session takes on extra weight, sculpting not just his body but his mindset. This isn't just training, it's a masterclass in preparation. Joshua knows that in boxing, victory isn't given. It's earned through precision, strategy, and unyielding discipline. And every jab, pivot, and defensive drill reflects that unwavering commitment.
You know, Simon, I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Oleksandr Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, wasn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously after the Usyk fight, he's come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition
Well,
job.
yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helenius, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the boxrec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where what you've just said then, Spencer, like match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board, and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to get an out and get back to winning ways is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8 rounders. Yeah. He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such a commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he? Yeah. He always will be in shape. He's never ever not been.
But it's not about his physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Oleksandr Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been...
While Joshua isn't sparring Usyk day to day, he's fully immersed in a Ukrainian champion's elite training environment. Working with the coaches who guided Usyk to become a 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion, Joshua is absorbing insights from their high-level boxing system. He's described the experience as invaluable, a chance to study the mindset and methods of a proven champion while sharpening his own skills for Jake Paul's unpredictable style.
To that camp just for Jake Paul, because he could have gone to fucking my camp to beat Jake Paul. AJ's been in camp with Usyk, taking it seriously for it to get fucked off at the final minute.
What better camp to go join than the master himself?
What he's doing is he knows that he's got, 1, maybe 2 years left, maybe 2 years. So he's gone to the Usyk camp. There's motivation behind that, you know what I mean? Yes. You're not going to that camp just for Jake Paul, because he could have gone to fucking my camp to beat Jake Paul. But he's going to that camp for the future of next year, where he could be fighting Dubois, could be fighting Fury, whatever.
Conor McGregor has spoken out on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua showdown, delivering a blunt and cautionary take. He warned that this fight is extremely dangerous, suggesting it perhaps shouldn't even happen. McGregor emphasized Joshua's sheer power and depth as a former world champion, noting that anyone stepping into the ring with him deserves respect, but also highlighting the very real risks for Paul. Despite his skepticism, McGregor acknowledged that if Paul fully commits, he would earn his respect. Still, the Irish superstar questioned whether this high-profile crossover clash makes sense from a pure sporting perspective.
He's going to get knocked out by AJ though, isn't he?
If he makes that walk, you've got to give him his respect for that. It's very dangerous, It seems like referees are all over him. It's a dangerous sport. You can't overlook that. Joshua's a big boy and a powerhouse. I've sat ringside and watched Joshua. That's a heavy punching man, and he's a happy and he's a good kid. He has an anger in him. He has a darkness in him, does Anthony Joshua. And I don't think a lot of people suss that. So, the fight shouldn't go ahead. In my opinion, the fight shouldn't go ahead.
UFC President Dana White has fired a scathing critique at the highly anticipated Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, calling it a mismatch that threatens the integrity of professional boxing. Never one to shy away from controversy, White questioned the logic of pitting a seasoned former world heavyweight champion against a YouTube sensation turned boxer. His comments have ignited fiery debates across social media, with fans split over whether this is a clever marketing move or a blatant spectacle that undermines the sport. White didn't hold back, warning that Joshua stepping into the ring with Paul makes little sense for boxing and could set a dangerous precedent, where fame and clicks outweigh skill and experience. While celebrity bouts may rake in massive pay-per-view numbers, he argued, they risk turning the sport into a sideshow rather than a true test of athletic prowess.